The secret weapons that never left the drawing board, the mystery of machines that never were. What if I told you that some of the most powerful machines in history never existed? Hidden deep inside government vaults and forgotten laboratories lie designs for weapons and aircraft so advanced, they seemed to come from another world. From Nazi supertanks the size of buildings to jet-powered flying wings that could cross oceans before radar even saw them, these were the inventions that promised to change the world, but somehow vanished before they were born. This is a story of brilliance that went too far, of dreams that defied physics, and of minds that saw the future long before humanity was ready to face it. Before we dive into the blueprints of madness, don't forget to subscribe, because what you're about to see is history's greatest what if. Every great leap in human progress begins with an impossible dream, and nowhere was that more evident than in the secret laboratories of World War II. Hidden behind the roar of engines and the thunder of artillery, there existed a quieter kind of warfare, one fought not with bullets, but with blueprints. The true battlefield was the human mind, where imagination became both a weapon and a curse. The war unleashed a feverish race for supremacy. Engineers and scientists on both sides began to think beyond what the eye could see or the earth could bear. Germany, desperate to regain control of the skies and seas, chased visions of machines that defied logic itself. The most infamous of them all was the Landkreuzer P.1000 Ratte tank, so colossal that even the generals who approved it whispered about its absurdity. Measuring over 35 meters long, with armor thicker than any shell could pierce, it was designed to be a moving fortress. It would have carried guns capable of sinking ships, and an engine that could drain a city's fuel reserves in hours. But as drafts turned into models, the truth became undeniable. The Rat could never move across bridges, roads, or even fields. The sheer logistics of building and fueling it were impossible. It became a phantom of engineering megalomania. Proof that even brilliance can be blinded by ambition. And yet, the Germans weren't alone in dreaming of monsters. Across the Atlantic, whispers of flying fortresses, rocket-propelled bombers, and even weather-control weapons filled Allied briefings. The Nazis proposed the America bomber a transcontinent, aircraft meant to carry destruction to New York City itself. American intelligence dismissed it as fantasy, but in truth, they were working on their own impossible designs. Jet-powered interceptors, remote-controlled flying bombs, and radar systems that could pierce the clouds. What united these rival nations was not ideology, but obsession. Every side believed that one perfect machine, one leap of genius, could decide the fate of the world. But war has no patience for perfection. Materials ran out, cities burned, and deadlines collapsed. For every success that flew or fired, dozens more died on the drawing board, buried beneath the rubble of ambition. Still, the legacy of these failed dreams endured. Decades later, many of their blueprints would resurface, influencing modern stealth bombers, intercontinental missiles, and even early space programs. The weapons that never existed became the foundation for those that would define the future. In the end, these weapons of imagination revealed something haunting about humanity, even when surrounded by death. We dream of building something greater, even if that something is capable of ending us all. When the guns of World War II fell silent, humanity didn't find peace, it found obsession. The battlefield shifted from blood-soaked fields to laboratories and wind tunnels, and the new enemy was no longer flesh and bone, but fear itself. The Cold War turned imagination into a weapon, and invention into psychological warfare. In the aftermath of 1945, both the United States and the Soviet Union inherited more than victory. They inherited the ghosts of Nazi science. Operation Paperclip brought German engineers like Wernher von Braun to America, while Soviet agents seized entire factories. Blueprints and mines from Berlin's ruins. These stolen seeds of genius grew into the forests of secret projects that would define the next half-century. In the United States, the Air Force became the church of technological faith. Every dream was possible, every sky a future battlefield. One of its most daring visions was the North American X-20 Dyna-Soar, a sleek, black glider meant to soar beyond the atmosphere, re-enter Earth, and deliver precision strikes from orbit. It was decades ahead of its time, a military spacecraft designed before humanity had even reached the moon. It would take off like a rocket, glide like a bird of steel, and land like a fighter jet. But behind its beauty was a terrifying purpose. to carry nuclear payloads from space. For years, billions flowed into the dream. Astronauts were trained, test models built, and launch pads readied. Yet, in 1963, just as it neared reality, the project was silenced. Officially, it was deemed unnecessary. Unofficially, it was too ambitious, too dangerous, and far too revealing of what America was willing to build. On the other side of the Iron Curtain, Soviet engineers were locked in their own fever dream. The Ekranoplan, or Caspian Sea Monster, emerged from the imagination of Rostislav Alexeyev, a hybrid between an aircraft and a ship designed to fly mere meters above the ocean's surface. It was invisible to radar, faster than any ship, and capable of carrying troops and missiles across the sea before the enemy could even react. For a brief moment, it seemed like the Soviets had built something unstoppable. But there was one problem: physics. At high speeds, the slightest wave could flip the giant craft, and at low speeds, it devoured fuel like a jet-powered Leviathan. Several prototypes crashed, and by the 1980s, the program was quietly buried under Soviet secrecy. These projects, the Dyna-Soar, the Ekranoplan, and dozens like them, became the mythology of a new kind of warfare. In the Cold War, victory wasn't always measured by what could fly or fire, but by what could frighten. A rumor of a space bomber could shift political tides. A blurry photo of a strange Soviet prototype could spark billion-dollar budgets in Washington. The dream machines of the Cold War weren't just blueprints of metal and fire. They were psychological weapons. They existed to keep the world on edge, to remind every citizen and every general that somewhere hidden behind steel doors and red stamps, the future was being built or imagined. And yet, in the ruins of those canceled projects, modern technology found its roots. The Dyna-Soar's DNA lived on in NASA's Space Shuttle. The Ekranoplan's design inspired modern stealth drones and low-altitude surveillance craft. Even failure in this age became fuel for progress. The Cold War may have been fought in silence, but its machines still whispered of a time when humanity tried to touch the stars, not out of wonder, but out of fear. There are stories the government doesn't deny, and others it simply refuses to acknowledge. Some of the most advanced technologies ever created didn't debut at air shows or in press releases. They appeared in the night sky, silent, invisible, and untraceable. These were the black projects, hidden programs so secret that even their funding was buried beneath layers of deception. Officially, they didn't exist. Unofficially, they redefined the limits of what humanity could build. In the 1950s and 60s, during the height of the Cold War, the United States faced an impossible challenge: stay ahead of the Soviets without revealing how far ahead it truly was. To achieve that, the government created black budgets, massive sums of money hidden inside other programs, funding technology that could never be spoken of in public. Deep in the Nevada desert, a patch of land was chosen for testing Area 51. There, under the scorching sun and endless sky, engineers tested aircraft that didn't belong to any known era. Locals called them flying triangles or black darts. The truth was stranger prototypes like the Lockheed Hev Blue, which would become the F-117 Nighthawk, were being flown years before the public even knew what stealth meant. The same desert later witnessed the birth of the B-2 Spirit, a bomber that could disappear from radar like a ghost. But not everything tested in the desert fit the rules of flight. Witnesses described objects that made no sound, accelerated instantly, and performed maneuvers no human body could survive. To some, these were experimental propulsion systems, electromagnetic drives, plasma thrusters, or other technologies decades ahead of their time. To others, they were something else entirely, proof that mankind was testing technology not of this earth. Inside those secret hangars, reality and rumor intertwined. Former engineers have hinted at projects involving field propulsion, where craft manipulated gravity itself to move without wings or fuel. Others described optical cloaking, bending light around a surface to make an aircraft literally invisible to the naked eye. Officially, such claims are dismissed as fantasy, yet years later, patents into classified files revealed research into exactly those ideas. The secrecy wasn't just for protection. It was psychological warfare. The existence of the unknown became a tool. Every unexplained radar blip, every eyewitness account of a glowing craft in the night helped keep enemies guessing. Was it a UFO or a weapon? No one was supposed to see. Even failure had purpose. Every crash, every miscalculation, Every bizarre experiment contributed something to the next generation of stealth, propulsion, or material science. What didn't fly in the 70s became standard by the 2000s. The SR-71 Blackbird, once a classified dream, flew faster than any other plane for decades. The F-117, born in total secrecy, changed the face of modern warfare before the world even knew it existed. And yet, the question lingers. If those projects were finally revealed, what still remains hidden? Today, the same desert skies are home to new whispers of Aurora, a hypersonic aircraft capable of Mach 6 speeds, or TR-3B, a supposed triangular craft powered by anti-gravity drives. The official record denies them. The night sky does not. What began as Cold War paranoia has become something deeper, a permanent shadow world of innovation, half science and half legend, because in the pursuit of technological dominance, some truths are too powerful, too disruptive, to ever see the light of day. And perhaps that is the ultimate paradox of progress. The closer we get to understanding the impossible, the more of it must remain hidden. There was a fine line between genius and insanity, and during the 20th century's fever dream of innovation, that line vanished completely. In the race to outthink the enemy, some of the world's brightest engineers drifted beyond logic itself, designing machines that looked more like nightmares than weapons. Their blueprints weren't guided by practicality, but by obsession, the relentless urge to see if it could be done, no matter the cost. At the height of the Cold War, imagination became a weapon in its own right. In secret laboratories, scientists sketched machines that broke every law of physics. The Helios project was one such vision, a sun-powered orbital bomber designed to harness solar radiation to power endless flight. Its creators imagined it patrolling space, striking from above the atmosphere with pinpoint accuracy. But even on paper, the logistics were impossible. Solar technology was decades too primitive, and shielding a nuclear payload from the sun's heat bordered on fantasy. Still, the very idea inspired generations of aerospace engineers who later built solar sails and long-range probes. Then there was Die Glocke, the bell. Deep in Nazi-occupied Poland, whispers spread of a project so secret it left no trace but rumors. Witnesses described a bell-shaped device filled with heavy metals and spinning at impossible speeds, supposedly capable of bending gravity, distorting time, or tearing a hole in space itself. Whether it was experimental physics, Nazi mythology, or deliberate disinformation, it embodied the madness of an empire that believed science could conquer reality itself. The bell may never have flown, but its myth endured, becoming the seed of countless conspiracy theories and science fiction alike. In America, obsession took a more tangible form. Project Pluto, a nuclear-powered cruise missile, aimed to create a weapon that could stay airborne indefinitely, circling the globe until ordered to strike. Its engine, a nuclear ramjet, sucked in air, heated it with a reactor, and expelled it as thrust. The result was terrifying. A missile that could fly forever, spreading lethal radiation in its wake even before delivering its warhead. Tests proved it could work. Sanity proved it shouldn't. The project was terminated when someone finally asked the obvious question: what happens if we lose control of it? These blueprints revealed something unsettling about humanity. They weren't just technical failures, they were philosophical ones. Each represented the moment when imagination forgot morality, when the pursuit of knowledge outpaced the boundaries of reason. To those who designed them, it wasn't about destruction, it was about creation without limits. The war merely gave them the excuse and the funding to chase the unthinkable. Yet even these failures left fingerprints on the future. Concepts born in madness often became blueprints for innovation decades later. The nuclear propulsion of Project Pluto would resurface in NASA's deep space exploration programs. The electromagnetic theories behind Die Glocke found echoes in modern anti-gravity research and quantum field experiments. Even Helios's dream of solar flight lives on in the light sail and solar orbiter missions orbiting the sun today. The lesson is chilling and profound. Progress is rarely polite. Every leap forward in technology has been built on the ashes of an idea once dismissed as insane. Every modern breakthrough, stealth, space travel, artificial intelligence, carries the DNA of a concept that once belonged to the realm of impossibility. The blueprints of madness remind us that genius and danger are often twins born in the same mind, driven by the same spark. And as long as humanity continues to dream without restraint, there will always be another engineer, another sketch, another impossible machine waiting to be built. Not because it should, but because it can. The story of human progress is littered with the ghosts of inventions that never took flight. Machines that existed only as blueprints, fragments of equations, or whispers buried in classified vaults. Yet these forgotten dreams are not failures. They are the foundation on which the future was built. Every stealth aircraft, every orbital vehicle, every autonomous drone carries within it the DNA of projects that never saw the sky. During the Cold War, when the race for technological supremacy turned the Earth into a laboratory of paranoia, thousands of experimental concepts were born and buried without a trace. Most were canceled before their first flight, but their influence endured. The Northrop YB-49, an early flying wing bomber that struggled with instability, would later be reborn as the stealthy beta spirit. The Dyna-Soar, canceled before it touched orbit, became the spiritual ancestor of the Space Shuttle. Even the nuclear-powered nightmare of Project Pluto left behind the core principles that drive today. Nuclear propulsion research for deep space missions. These so-called failures were, in truth, the scaffolding of the modern world. The lessons learned from their collapse became blueprints for progress. Engineers who once built superweapons went on to design safer, more efficient technologies, from high-speed rail systems to advanced jet engines and AI-guided flight control. The pursuit of the impossible had rewritten the boundaries of what was considered real. But the legacy of these secret projects is not just technological, it's philosophical. They remind us that progress is never clean, and innovation rarely follows a straight line. Behind every success lies a graveyard of discarded ideas, prototypes, and dreams that couldn't survive their time. Yet each of them mattered. Each failure taught the next generation what not to do, and more importantly, what might still be possible. Today, we stand in an era eerily similar to the one that birthed those forgotten machines. Nations once again chase invisible weapons, hypersonic missiles, quantum radar AI-driven drones that think faster than humans can react. Laboratories buzz with classified experiments that sound more like science fiction than science. And just like before, the line between imagination and reality grows thinner by the day. But beneath the innovation lies the same haunting question that haunted the minds of the 20th century visionaries. What happens when imagination becomes more powerful than reason? When we can build faster than we can think? When machines begin to inherit not just our intelligence, but our ambition, our mistakes, and our madness? Perhaps that is the true legacy of what never flew, not the machines themselves, but the warning they leave behind, a whisper from history reminding us that every great leap comes with a shadow. The unbuilt projects of the past were humanity's first glimpse into the ethical paradox of progress. Just because we can create something extraordinary doesn't mean we should. And yet, it is that same dangerous curiosity that drives us forward. Without it, there will be no flight, no satellites, no exploration of the stars. The engines of progress are powered as much by failure as by success, by dreams that crash before they ever leave the ground. So the next time we marvel at the sleek form of a stealth jet or the silent precision of a drone guided by artificial intelligence, we should remember the ghosts behind them, the engineers, the drafts, and the impossible ideas that never took off but changed everything nonetheless. Because history isn't just written by the machines that flew, it's written by those that almost did. And if you've come this far, you've already stepped beyond the boundaries of ordinary history into the world of imagination, secrecy, an obsession where the future is always being drawn, erased, and drawn again. Subscribe, stay curious, and remember, the sky has never been the limit. It's only the beginning.